Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome back. We are continuing with the study of the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 16, the divine and the demoniac. And we have so far discussed about the qualities of the Daivi Sampat, so those who are born with the divine qualities. The first 3 verses we discussed about that. Then Krishna also speaks about the general qualities of the demon, those who are born with demoniac qualities, pride, arrogance, conceit, dhambo, darpa, abhimanascha, parushyam, all those things. Then Krishna explained to Arjuna that you don't belong to the demoniac nature. You are, although you are a Kshatriya, you are meant, your fight is going to, it's for the right cause, it's for the dharmic, and you are engaging your propensity in a proper way. So you are yourself invoking anger is not demoniac. Krishna explains that. Then Krishna goes on to explain about the various the thought process of the demons, their activities, how do they act, what are their evil tendencies, and what is their conduct. Everything Krishna is explaining. So yesterday we discussed about that, how they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done, how to be clean, and then how the proper behaviors, proper conduct, they are not aware of it. Then also we discussed about their worldview. What is their worldview? Their worldview is they don't believe. First of all, there is a controller, Anishwaram, they don't accept. And they think that the world is created for no purpose. There is no purpose behind this world. Apratishtam, Anishwaram, Asatyam. It's all false, it's all a dream. That's what they think. And then their final conclusion is that everything is just running because of lust. Just because of lust, men and women come together and they are lusty, and then children are born. And just life goes on, just life is meant for enjoyment. Kimanyad kama haitukam, Krishna says. Then what do they do when these people have such a kind of worldview? How do they act? Their activities are abominable. Their thought process is abominable. Their activities also results in exploitation of others, and also others suffer because of their activities. Yesterday we discussed in detail. Specifically, Krishna uses the word ugra karmanaha. Ugra karmanaha. Yeah, he says that they are engaged in very the results are very abominable activities. We discussed about the factories, the modern people, how they're endeavoring, working so hard, and for simply they are wasting their life. And the demons have planned everything like that. Then what do they do? What is their solid basis? The solid basis is they take shelter of lust, and then with that, because of the lust, there is in Sanskrit the word kama not only refers to attraction between man and a woman and woman and a man, but it encompasses much more. All kinds of material desires you can put in one single word called kama. So kama mashritya dushpuram. This is what they do. They have taken shelter of this lust, and then it expands, and then they become proud. They become mad. They are in illusion, and they become mad, and they try to enjoy. Then as a result of that, they have hundreds and hundreds of desires. Their anxiety levels are very high because all the time they are competing with others. They want to dominate others. So this is what Krishna discusses. Krishna discussed this. And then what else we saw yesterday? We discussed about how they acquire money by illegal means. Anyaye nartha. No nyaya artha, anyaye nartha. Illegal means they acquire a lot of money. And then what do they say? Ishvaroham ahang bohi, siddhavan bhalavan sukhi. I am the Ishvara. No one can compete with me. Everyone should be under my control. And that way I attain perfection. I am always happy. This is what they think. This is their worldview. So Krishna discusses about that. Then Krishna says that, so in this way, by their mind caught into all kinds of worldly desires and trying to lord over, they are, what is mohajjala? They are caught into a net of illusion, Krishna says. Mohajjala, that word is being used. Yeah. And then they also may apparently engage in some kind of a sacrifice or some kind of charity, but it's all meant for their own satisfaction, to increase their pride, to increase their position, to increase their dominance. That is what they do. Now, from today, we will discuss about the results one acquires by such demoniac propensities, by such demoniac activities. And also, ultimately, Krishna, who normally, many people think that he only speaks sweet words. But in this chapter, you can see Krishna speaks reality. He very clearly shows the demoniac tendencies so that we will not become such kind of demons. We should avoid such tendency. So Krishna points out also what should we do to come out of it. What is the solution? Which Krishna has already explained before. Now he's very specific how we can handle these material desires. When it is not properly controlled, then what happens? The material desires turn in too much of rajas, and then it degrades into tamas and causes a hellish life for us and for others also. So Krishna is giving solution in the rest of the verses. So we will see today. Text 19. Tanaham dvishata kruran samsareshu naradhaman shipam yajasram ashubhan asurishveva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Now here Krishna says, Tanaham, I. Krishna says, I personally am involved in this. In the lives of whom? Dvishata, those who are envious. And then Kruran. Kruran means very mischievous, performing all kinds of abominable activities. So what Krishna does with those kind of people? And samsareshu, they are put into this ocean. What ocean? We will just discuss. Naradhaman. And then Krishna calls them as Nara Adhama, the lowest among men. Already Krishna discussed, no? There are 4 kinds of people who surrender to him and 4 kinds of people who do not surrender to him. And under that, one of the category is Naradhamas. They are lowest among men. Then he says, Shipam Yajasram Ashubhan. Shipam means I put them. And is it one time he puts them? No. He says Ajasram, perpetually, again and again. Again and again. As long as they are so stubborn, they don't take the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord perpetually, he casts them into what? Asurish eva yonishu. He casts them into the body of the asuras. Yeah, that's what Krishna says. Ashubhan. It's not all auspicious, it's inauspicious. So now, from this very verse, one thing is very clear for those who study the Bhagavad Gita, those who have faith in the words of the scriptures, those who have faith in the words of the Lord. It is very clear that the Lord is personally involved. It could be personally or it could be through his agents. Whatever the involvement of Lord is there with respect to our birth in this world. Not that it just happens by some chance or it is just happening by some randomness or some coincidence. No. There is a specific involvement of the Supreme Lord. Exactly, Prabhupada immediately addresses this in the purport. We will see that. Our birth is not accidental. It is the prerogative of the Supreme Will. So, that means what? It is ordained by the Lord. Now, let's see what Prabhupada says. The demoniac person may not agree to accept the supremacy of the Lord. And it is a fact that he may act according to his own whims. But his next birth will depend upon the decision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and not on himself. You may say there is no God. I will not believe this. It's all, just some, you people are all some dogma. You are all in some dogma. You may speak so many things, but at the end of the day, sir, you are not deciding about your next body. Your next body is ordained It is decided based on your activities, on your consciousness at the time of death. It is all destined. So immediately to support the statement, Srila Prabhupada gives a reference from the scriptures. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, it is stated that an individual soul after his death is put into the womb of a mother where he gets a particular type of body under the supervision of superior power. Anybody other than Stavpriya Prabhu, can you tell what Srila Prabhupada is talking here? Many times we see, in Srila Prabhupada in his purports, in his other commentaries, he immediately refers to some shloka. There will be a translation of the verse there. You remember what is this verse? You get so many places Prabhupada in his lectures, in his conversations, he quotes this verse. At least the first 2 lines, many will remember. I don't want to tell, then you will feel, oh yeah, it is. Try to recollect. What does this mean? Again, we'll read this. It is stated that an individual soul after his death is put into the womb of a mother where he gets a particular type of body under the supervision of superior power. Supervision of superior power. What Prabhupada is pointing out here? Very famous Bhagavatam shloka. Mangal Vaishnav Prabhu. Karmana daiva netrena jantur deho upapattaye. Remember how many times Prabhupada says this? It's not happening by some whims and fancies. It's all based on karmana, whatever activities you have done, daiva netrena, under the supervision of the authorities. Who are those authorities? The Supreme Lord and his representatives, the demigods. They are all watching. They are all watching. Each and every aspect of our activity is being recorded. Karmana daiva netrena jantor deho upapaddaye. So jantor means the living entities. What do they get? They get specific bodies. And then how they get the another body, the Bhagavatam explains, striyo. Striyaha pravishta udaram. The semen is injected into the womb of the striya, of the woman. Then what happens? Yeah, pumsa reta karnayohu. Yeah, that's what is explained. So what happens that as a result of that, the small particle, the jiva enters the body. Not that it just happens by some chance. So very clear worldview we have. So you see, we have clear answers for all the questions in this world. There is no maybe like this, maybe like that. You can clearly explain why it is like this. Just by chance, or it may not be. The Vedas are very clear. The Lord is very clear. There is a mission. There is a reason for why a person is born in this particular family, why a person is born in this race, why his color is like this, why his nature is like this. Everything has got a perfect reason behind it. Okay. Therefore, in the material existence, we find so many species of life, animals, insects, men, and so on. All are arranged by the superior power. They are not accidental. Actually, for those of us who are reading regularly Srila Prabhupada's books, you may many times come across this point, but actually it's such an important worldview, because people in the modern world, or those who are not trained to see according to the instructions of the Supreme Lord, they are just carried away thinking that everything is a combination of chemicals. Life is just one life. Life is simply meant for enjoyment. All those ideas. Sudarshan, Bhakta Sudarshan. What are you doing? So it is so important that we need to understand that there is a superior power, and there are representatives who are following the instructions of the Lord, and we need to be aware of this. So the moment, why the modern thinkers and the philosophers, so-called philosophers, the scientists, they don't want to accept this statement of this Bhagavatam, wherein it is happening under the supervision of the superior power. What should be the reason for that? The reason is that immediately you have to follow certain rules and regulations. Immediately there are some restrictions. Certain things you can do, certain things you cannot do, which they do not want. So they want to completely remove this conception of higher authorities or the existence of God. And it's something like they want to cover their eyes. When the rat comes in front of, probably the example of this rabbit, it comes in front of the tiger, or tiger comes in front of the rabbit. So what the rabbit tries to do, it covers his eyes and then it tries to avoid the problem. But you cannot. We have to face. That's why Prabhupada, just before we read, Prabhupada says that we may we may have our whims and fancies, we may have our own conceptions, but if we do not accept, still we are going to get our, what to say, we are going to be summoned, we are going to be given order. Oh, okay, this is your destination. You're going to get a body of a hog, you're going to get a body of a dog, you're going to get a body of a, you're going to get a heavenly body, you're going to be again born in this material world. But I don't believe. Who cares you believe it or not? Who cares you accept it or not? The nature of law, it's called as the infallible justice is given. There is no bribing, there is no cheating that can happen there. Exactly for whatever that we have done, as how the saying goes, as you sow, so shall you reap. Whatever you have done, you're going to get reactions. So, sober person, or as we can see in the rest of the purpose, Prabhupada will use the word sane. Any sane man will understand this, and then he will act accordingly. Okay, Hare Krishna. Now, I just missed one line in this purport. Prabhupada is saying that as far as the demoniac, it is clearly said here that they are perpetually put into the wombs of the demons, and thus they continue to be envious, the lowest of mankind. Such demoniac species of men are held to be always full of lust, always violent and hateful, and always unclean, which these points were discussed before. And here Prabhupada points out here in this purport, the many kinds of hunters in the jungle are considered to belong to the demoniac species of life. Why it's like that? Why the hunters are considered to be demoniac species? Any thought? Why they are considered fallen? This is the question. They are wild. Okay, that's one point. But what's the main point there? They eat all kinds of abominable things. They just live on animal flesh. Well, in the modern age, we can say everybody is like this. Previously in the forest, they were doing it. Now they are right royally doing it. They have opened an official slaughterhouse. The government has given permission. I think the demoniac species, it's right there in the city. Everyone is demoniac. Those who are killing animals simply for tongue pleasure. So that's why Prabhupada is pointing out here that the hunters are considered to be very lower class of people. We can see here in the commentary also by the Acharyas, they're also pointing out that. See here, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is pointing out, I, the Lord of all, who give results to all according to their karmas, throw them again and again into births as sinful persons, hunters, or mlechas, involved with violence and thirst for enjoyment. So this is the point. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Now, so it might appear like the Lord being cruel, just again and again casting them into the ocean of to demoniac species. He's casting them into demoniac species. So we may also have this thought, but Acharyas are also very thoughtful. They raise this question and the Lord is responding. Will those born in the wombs of Asuras become liberated at some time by your mercy after many births? Will you do that, my dear Lord? They're asking. See what Krishna says. Krishna says, Asurim yonimapanna muda janmani janmani mam aprapyaiva kaunteya tato yantyadamam gatim. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, O son of Kunti, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. So Krishna says here, Asurim yonimapanna. What do they gain? They are again born in the Asuric yoni. Who are those? Those fools. Birth after birth, they are again cast into that Asuric body. So, why they don't achieve liberation? Mam aprapyaiva kaunteya tato yanti adamam gatim. So gradually they further sink down to the lowest species, he says. It appears quite heavy, isn't it? Krishna is, he says, no way, I'm not going, they are going to sink down further. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada discusses in the purport. Also we'll see the Acharya's commentaries. It is known that God is all merciful, but here we find that God is never merciful to the demoniac. Yes, that's the very nature of the Supreme Lord. He is all merciful. So, in fact, when Uddhava glorifies Krishna, he calls Krishna to be the most compassionate personality in this entire universe. But same Lord is speaking like this. Is it a contradiction? Why Krishna is considered to be he's giving a reason why Krishna is considered to be the Supreme Lord. My Lord is so compassionate, and he gives immediate example of Putana. Who can be like this? Mother smears poison in her breast. She wants to kill the child, and Krishna gives her the status of a nurse in the spiritual world. Who will do this? So that's why he's glorifying. Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam. He glorifies her that my Lord is the most merciful personality. Now, Prabhupada further speaks here. It is clearly stated that the demoniac people, life after life, are put into the wombs of similar demons and not achieving the mercy of the Supreme Lord. They go down and down so that at last they achieve bodies like those of cats, dogs, and hogs. It is clearly stated that such demons have practically no chance of receiving the mercy of God at any stage of later life. In the Vedas also it is stated that such persons gradually sink to become dogs and hogs. So now the question remains, is God all merciful? Whereas on the other side, they say that God is all merciful. Here he says he is very heavy with the asuras. How do we understand? So, in answer to this question, in the Vedanta Sutra, we find that the Supreme Lord has no hatred for anyone. We have seen this quote even before. The placing of the asuras, the demons, in the lowest status of life is simply another feature of his mercy. Sometimes the asuras are killed by the Supreme Lord, but this killing is also good for them. For in the Vedic literature, we find that anyone who is killed by the Supreme Lord becomes liberated. There are instances in history of many asuras, Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, to whom the Lord appeared in various incarnations just to kill them. Therefore, God's mercy is shown to the asuras if they are fortunate enough to be killed by him. So this is the whole point. So ultimately, the Lord kills them and then they attain mercy. They get the mercy in the form of, they get liberation. They get Sayujya Mukti. Some of them, they get Sarupya also. That is mentioned in the scriptures. Specifically when Krishna deals with them. And okay, let's see the commentary here by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu. So he's raising the same question. He's asking, will those born in the wombs of asuras become liberated at some time by your mercy after many births? And Krishna is responding, these fools, having been born in demoniac wombs, not attaining me at all, proceed to the wombs of the lowest creatures like dogs. Use of the word eva and after aprapya indicates that there is no possibility for them to get mercy, he says. A good birth suitable for practicing attaining the Lord is very rare. What to speak of low birth? So those of bad conduct attain lower births, such as dogs, pigs, and chandalas. The Chandogya Upanishad says. But because you have the equality, having all desires fulfilled, satya sankalpatva, you can make them qualified even if they are so unqualified. The Lord is called a satya sankalpa. He just desires, just by his desire, everything becomes fulfilled. Whatever he desires. So he says, anything is possible for the Lord, but though he could do this, he does not have the desire, since there is no good reason for him to do that. This is the point. The Lord does not have the desire to help them. Why? You see here. Thus there is no fault of prejudice in the Lord. The author of the Vedanta says, Vaishyamya nairgrunyena. There is no prejudice or hatred in the Lord. Therefore, these two verses are very appropriate. Those asuras described here who do not accept scripture are always shown to be the inhabitants of hell. So now, because they do not have any desire to turn their face towards the Lord. So the Lord also does not have a desire to help them. Simple. But then he concludes the purport with a point. But those who become demons and kings obedient to demons by a curse, though showing externally hatred to the visible forms of Vishnu like Vamana, Nrsimha, Varaha, regarding them as enemies, are internally followers of the Vedic path and consider him to be the Supreme Lord, the controller of all, in control of time beyond their material vision. So we can see there are many cases of the Asuras they were cursed, they became Asuras, they became inimical to the Lord. Finally, they were killed by the Lord, Supreme Lord Krishna or his other incarnations. Being killed by Vamana and other incarnations, they give up the bodies of Asuras, but those killed by Krishna attain liberation. Those persons are not opposers of the Vedas. Yeah, so when the Supreme Lord kills them, they get Sayujya, or some of them they get Sarupya by the extreme mercy of the Lord. That also happens. So there are a lot of discussions in the Bhagavatam regarding that, and also in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are different cases that are being discussed. You can also take the case of Aghasura. He got the Sayujya. First of all, when Aghasura was killed by the Supreme Lord, you can see that to show to the entire world that the Lord was, the Jiva is individual. We could see the effulgence was there. For some time, it was there separate. Everybody could see some spark. And then after that, that spark merged into the body of the Lord. Then after that, he got Sarupya. Bhagavatam explains that. So anyway, the Lord, he is not ready to help them, but at last he kills them and then he gives them liberation as well. So, but generally speaking, those who are demoniac, those who are against the Lord, they are sent to the demoniac species of life. This is the point. Now also, one other thing we have to see here, also our we have to be very careful also in preaching to these demons and dealing with the demons. They are very as is explained here, they're very rough and tough, and they are always want to create trouble for others. So we may have to present the truth, but at the same time, sometimes we may, in the modern age, most of the people are like this. They become so envious, they become so angry, they don't want to see devotees. So many people have this experience. When specifically devotees go out for distributing books, or they see some Harinam, they get angry, they want to create some trouble. So many stories are there. So in our movement, so if we there are also acharyas also giving us strategies, how do we deal with such kind of people? Because outright, if all the time we are just going to be very heavy dealing with these people, just going to tell you are demons. Yes, there are other ways by which also we have to deal. As the famous verse which explains, Maharaj also chants it quite often, that you keep the straw in your, he says that you keep the straw in your mouth and very humbly go and then fall at the feet of the person whom you are meeting and you glorify him. You are such and such a person, you are so great, you are so wonderful, you have done so many activities, you are very famous, you are so great. Now, put all your ideas, your conceptions, your so-called talent, everything, put it on the side, far away. Put it far away. Take shelter of Chaitanya Chandra. Take shelter of his lotus feet. So in the sense, what he's saying, okay, you a little bit glorify them. Then what do? Give one atom bomb. Atom bomb is Srila Prabhupada's book. Somehow or other give the book. So that even the demoniac person, somehow by touching it, by giving some oral reception, his heart may change. But there are also, devotees have experience. There are some really, really demoniac people. When they see some devotees, they want to beat them. They want to kill them. They want to, they don't want them to exist anywhere. There are cases. I just remember one Mataji. This is from, this nectar of book distribution. There are so many incidents. One Mataji, she was distributing books in France. I think most of you might know this. It's a very famous incident. She was distributing books in the trains. So she saw a person. He was a banker, and he saw this lady, and he was immediately agitated. He was so angry. So she was holding a Krishna book. She was trying to preach, give the book. He was so angry, and then on the spot, he tore the book, and then further he just caught her to the neck. The train already started moving. He pushed her out of the train, and along with those books, he threw all those books, and somehow that one Krishna book that he took and he tore, it was with him. And then this Mataji, she picked up heavy pain. She had almost like a shoulder fracture she had. She was completely, her health was so bad. And this fellow went back to his place. And life went on for him. After some time, his wife ran away with someone else, some other person. So the wife left her in the due course of his life, I'm just saying. And then his son also, he had a son. Son also ran away with the girl, and then he was left alone. And he had some crisis in his job. And he was so frustrated. And he was he had an idea of giving up his life. So when this situation, what happened when he took that Krishna book? This Krishna book was somehow the lady who was working in his house or something. She thought that the book, some book, our boss brought something, so it is torn or something. So somehow or other she taped it and then it was put in the shelf. So for whatever reason, this fellow took this book and then he started reading this Krishna book. And then immediately, within a short span of time, he felt really very bad for what he did. So he found the local ISKCON center and then he started going to ISKCON. He wanted to dedicate his life. And then the first thing that he did is after some years, maybe a couple of years or so, he found this Mataji to whom he behaved so badly. He fell at her feet and he said that you saved my life. So the point that I'm trying to say is that these kind of demoniac things, it's a great risk. Preaching is a great risk, but we do it as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Namacharya, Haridas Thakur and Nityananda. He sent them to all the places. He said that you go and then meet the localist people as well. Go and save everyone. So we have a great task. So if you think that there are demons only in some corner, no, the Kali Yuga is like this. Kali Yuga everywhere, wherever we turn. So as now just we saw in this verse that people who are eating meat, where now we see wherever we turn, left, right, front, back, so many people are eating meat, right, royally. People are eating meat, they're engaged in so many abominable activities. So what do? These are demons. But the duty of the devotee is to somehow or other save the lives of the people. So there are some limits. We have to act in our limits. At the same time, we should be always be eager to give Krishna consciousness to others. So we do not know what is the potency. We do not know the power of Srila Prabhupada's books. We do not know the power of the holy name. Simply we have to have faith. We should distribute this knowledge. And we will see, as Prabhupada says, this movement is meant to turn crows into swans. It will happen. So simply we have to faith. And we have already seen, and we are seeing in our lives, people are changing. So we should be hopeful. We should be, this is where we should be very positive. We should not be negative. Who will take this book? Who will buy this? So difficult. No, where can we are seeing so many people's lives are being changed. So that is the point. So then, as we saw before also, a devotee knows the internal heart, internal mood of Krishna. Remember in the 3rd chapter we were discussing, Krishna is speaking that those who are ignorant, don't go and disturb them. Krishna says that, no? But Prabhupada in the purport what he writes? But a devotee knows the heart of Krishna. So he may go and then disturb them, forcefully disturb them, give them mercy. So like that. Okay. For those who are interested, there are several things. You can just go and then refer to a purport called Purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 12, Text 33. In the purport, Prabhupada discusses about how Aghasura he got Sarupya. He discusses about that. You can see that. Okay, next go to text 21. Trividham narakasyedham dwaram nashanam kamakrodas tatha lobhas tasmad etat trayang tyajet. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give this up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. Now, in these 3 verses that we're going to see now, Krishna is speaking about how one can come out of this demoniac propensity, how one can avoid this demoniac propensity, how one can overcome, one can be fixed in Daivi Sampat. So he's giving us solutions now. Krishna is giving solutions. So here he is pointing out specifically 3 gates that is leading to this hell. He says, Trividam narakasyedam. Dwaram nashanam atmanah. So this is opening up the gateway to hell. So what are those? Kama, Krodha, Lobha. So one should immediately give up this quality. Etat trayam tyajet. Immediately give it. Okay. Otherwise, if we just continue to be in this habit of developing kama, krodha and lobha, we will further degrade ourselves. So how the Prabhupada says, begins the purport, making the point that the demoniac life begins with trying to satisfy our lusty desires. Earlier in the second chapter, what Krishna says about this? Already spoke about this, kama and krodha. That is in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The second chapter, what Krishna says? Second chapter was over. Yeah, dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kama krodho vijayate. Krishna says that we become attracted by an object, and then we develop a desire, and then we want to acquire that object. And if we acquire that object, are we satisfied? We are not satisfied. We want more. Give me more. Give me more. Aniyor. We want more and more and more. So lobha. It turns out into lobha. Now, in our endeavor to satisfy our senses, when we do not get that object that we are hankering for, what happens? It turns out into krodha. And then from krodha, all the disaster happens. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati. Exactly, that's what Prabhupada says. The beginning of demoniac life is described herein. So that's how the demoniac life begins. Then you go crazy, you go mad. And another point also we can think, you see, here what the shloka says, it says that Narakasyedham. These are the 3 gates leading to this hell. But one other point, if you very much think, very deeply you think, actually the life becomes hellish when we have these three qualities, lust, anger and greed. When you have this lust, anger and greed, already your life becomes hellish. One is going to the hellish regions and then going to the lower species. Already your consciousness becomes so low. You are so disturbed. You are so agitated. You cannot be happy we cannot be happy when we are lusty, angry and greedy. So that's another point to think. Then yes, we can also see in the scriptures again and again there is one point which is repeated. What is this? There are what do they call? I'm not exactly getting the Sanskrit name. What are the 6 enemies called as? Shad Ripuhu. Is it? Yeah, correct. I think so. One is Shad Vikara, the transformation. Is Shad Ripuhu. Yes, correct. So these 6 enemies. What are the 6 enemies? Of these 3 enemies Krishna is speaking here. And the other 3 are the consequent. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, then Moha, then Mada, then Matsarya. These 3, you see it happens. So Kama, when Kama is not satisfied, it becomes Krodha. Kama, when it is satisfied, no, it is never satisfied. Actually, you try to satisfy it, it turns it into Lobha. And then from Lobha, what happens? Then when you become too greedy, we just now saw the whole series of demoniac qualities. You become completely, you are totally bewildered. And when you are totally bewildered, mattaha pramattaha, you go mad. Moha. And from illusion, you become mada, you become mad. When you are mad, you do not know what you are doing. You become crazy. That's why we read in the newspapers. So many, fellow came, he saw his wife, he saw his children, he cut them with the axe. So many incidents we see, the families, there are different problems, other problems. So many every day, daily news, you use when you open this, Kali Purana, which is, Kali Purana is a newspaper. So you get all kinds of problems that happens. And we can see it's all result of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. Matsarya is envy. This Dvesha is already there. So much envy is there. So all these lower tendencies are attacking a person. So it's a modern civilization. This is what it does. It already creates such a kind of an atmosphere. And also we can make see one point here. Krishna is speaking about reality here. He's not, doing some kind of saying something vague, or he's very clearly speaking. If you are going to have such kind of a desire of lust, anger and greed, you are going to suffer. You're going to have a hellish life. So that is why we have, sometimes people are unable to understand why you should not go for movies. Why I should not watch sports. Why I should not do, why this question, why? Why? Because immediately our consciousness becomes very low. Why no coffee? Why no tea? Why no onion garlic? What is wrong? What is wrong? Because your consciousness is going to be degraded. Because you do not know the purpose of life. You do not know why you are born. Our life is meant to be with Krishna. We are meant to give pleasure to Krishna. Our life is molded accordingly. That is what is required. Now, so that's why we have do's and don'ts. Why we avoid all these things? Because our thought process, our whole desires will be directed towards sense gratification. So, we do not watch movies. We do not watch serials. We do not play some kind of stupid games in the smartphone. We do not waste our time watching the reviews about the cine actors and the cinema news, and then the sports magazines and the sports stars and the politicians and so many reviews. We do not waste time. Maybe some devotee, for the purpose of preaching, he may get into some kind of research under the guidance of bona fide devotees. But otherwise, everything is there in the Bhagavatam and Gita. There is no need to waste time on all these things. You can see people wasting hours and hours. What it provokes? It just provokes lust. See, you can see they are also very intelligent. You don't even have to go to the movies. Nowadays, the advertisements, it's all provocative. They just, all the time, women are exploited. And people are, immediately they want to go for some go, and then, you see, all these things are promoted. Lust is promoted very heavily. And then, there are so many new gadgets, new things that are available in the market that is being promoted. Buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. Low buy is promoted. Then people become mad, they become angry, they fight. You see, it's all a cycle. So the demands are very nicely planned. So for them to dominate the world, they have this consumer industry. You can also see all the products that in this latest years, whatever products they have, that doesn't last for a long time. In 2 years or 1 year, 2 years actually it's a long term, I would say. 1 year or something, you have to change it. Everything has to be changed. Everything has to be purchased. That's how the consumer industry runs. So immediately there is so much greed. There is competition. So it's a demoniac life. That's the whole point. So Prabhuji, why we should discuss all these things? Let's discuss Krishna Katha. Let's just discuss Krishna's wonderful qualities. But sir, we are living in this material world. We are living in the prison. In the prison, we need to know also what are the demoniac attitudes, how we should be careful. That's why Krishna consciousness is a very serious process. Let's have some fun, let's have some jokes, let's have some stories, and then you also smile, I'll also smile, every one of us will smile. And life is to smile, we'll be happy. But then, what is the result? The result is that we all together will be walking towards hell. This is what will happen. That's why a sadhu is meant to speak the truth. He's meant to give the realistic situation of this material world. Not that we are always, putting someone in some kind of a trauma. You will go to hell. You will go to hell. That's not the point. Yes, sir. This is what is going to happen. Bhagavatam is showing us. Bhagavad Gita is showing us. If we follow the instructions of the Lord, what is our destination? If you do not follow, what is going to happen? So this is a kind of a trigger for us to wake up from the sleeping state. And it's reality. It's not some story. Just to threaten us, it is said. Krishna is warning us. So better you mold your life. So actually the Lord is very merciful, taking care, like a very affectionate father, how he trains the child in both the aspect. We always hear this simple example also, like if you just teach someone when we're crossing the road, only about the green light. When there's green light, you cross the road. But then when there is a red light, what to do? That you have not taught, So we have to tell both. What are all those things which are unfavorable, what are all the things which is favorable? Then we can properly lead life. That's why Krishna is very mercifully giving this transcendental knowledge here. Otherwise, what happens if we just leave it? If as practicing sadhakas also, If we do not hear about the detrimental effects of this, then what happens when there are allurements? Then we take it for, we just go along with the wind, right? And then it's, once you become addicted, it becomes so difficult. So prevention is better than cure. Well, the power of devotional service is, the devotional service is so potent at any stage, in whatever may be the stage, it can completely save a person from any kind of conditioning. So it involves the mercy of the devotee, it involves also the intensity of the practitioner, isn't it? Tivrena bhakti yogena. That's why Kapila Dev, in the teachings of Kapila, we can see this very powerful verse which speaks about that the devotional service should be intense. Intense means the absorption should be, there should be good absorption in Krishna consciousness. We should be ready to serve, should be ready to hear, we should be ready to preach, we should be ready to do anything for Krishna. That is the goal of our entire Bhakti-śāstra course. Just to mold our life to give ourselves to Krishna. Then we can come out of this conditioning. Okay. Text 22. Etair vimukta kaunteya tamo dvaraistribhir naraha acharatyatmana shreyas tato yati param ghatim. The man who has escaped these 3 gates of hell, O son of Kunti, performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination. Now this is the point here. Krishna explains that Vimuktaha tamodhvarais tribir naraha. So one who is taking endeavors to come out of this lust, anger and greed, then what happens? Then he is working for his shreyaha. Shreya means that which is really beneficial for him. Prayas shreyas, that is beneficial for his eternity. Tato yati paramgati. He attains the perfection of life. He attains the supreme destination. Now here, Srila Prabhupada very much he points out a very important discussion he brings to our attention. You see here the purport, Prabhupada points out that why there are rules and regulations enjoined in the Vedic literature. Prabhupada explains. Why should we have the rules and regulations? By following the regulative principles of human life, one gradually raises himself to the platform of spiritual realization. If one is so fortunate by such practice to rise to the platform of Krishna consciousness, then success is guaranteed for him. So, we need to become purified. We are now conditioned by the process of following the regulative principles, we will become purified. This is the point. Now, Prabhupada says, what is the Vedic process? By cultivating knowledge of this process, one can be elevated to the highest position of self-realization. This self-realization is prescribed in perfected in devotional service. In that devotional service, the liberation of the conditioned soul is guaranteed. So, here Prabhupada is pointing out that, so it is good for one to engage in devotional service. Now, how to practically apply that in the modern scenario, in this life, how do we do that? Now, Prabhupada is giving a solution here in this purport. According to the Vedic system, there are instituted the 4 orders of life and the 4 statuses of life called the caste system and the spiritual order system. Now, I have a question. Prabhupada speaks about the caste system. Maybe we may even read the next line also. There are different rules and regulations for different castes or divisions of society. And if a person is able to follow them, he will automatically be raised to the highest platform of spiritual realization. Then he can have liberation without a doubt. Prabhupada concludes the purport. Now, Krishna is promoting caste system. But general conception of the caste system is very bad. In the worldview, people think that caste system is really bad. It is a cause of great problems. In fact, some devotees also have this idea, oh, caste system, it's really bad. So is it really bad? This is the question. How it is not bad? But we can see there are so many problems that has happened in India. The Brahmins, they exploited, specifically in Tamil Nadu, Brahmins exploited the lower caste people. They exploited too much. And there are so many, that's why people do not, now it's happening the other way around. The other caste people, they are dominating the Brahmanas. And also there you don't find really good Brahmanas. And it's topsy-turvy. As Kali Yuga progresses, it's topsy-turvy. But the question again remains, is the caste system bad? Why? What's the, well, let's try to churn a little bit. What is the reason? Why it is bad? Okay. So the caste system is based on quality. So, but why there are all these divisions? Let everyone can be equal, no? Then it can very nicely, everybody can do things together like that. Okay. So here Jagdish Prabhu is saying that somebody who is a Brahmana, when he performs activities, those activities are pure, good samskaras are performed, so that helps others, helps themselves and helps others. So now the question is, but these divisions, why Krishna should have all these divisions? Why at all these divisions? What is the purpose behind? What is the idea behind these divisions Krishna instituted? Why Krishna instituted these divisions? That's the bottom line question I'm asking. This is the point. This is the point. The point is that the whole idea of this caste system Krishna has instituted is for the purpose of purification. As such, in the system, there is no problem at all. It is not at all bad. The thing is that whomsoever is in whatever situation he is in, actually he understands that I am in this situation and I have a role to play, and he keeps Krishna in the center. Keeping Krishna in the center, he takes up his role and he plays his role. Then when he does like that, he will not exploit others. He will have a specific psychophysical nature, and based on his psychophysical nature, maybe based on his swabhava, he is engaged in a particular activity and he does it very sincerely, keeping in mind that everyone else has got certain nature and they are also doing their activity, and ultimately to the whole society together, we are meant in the progressive march of Krishna consciousness. So where is the problem? There is no problem. It's a perfect system. But then Sakala, what is that? What is it? Krishna says? Over a period of time, this whole system is Sakale neham hata, yogo nashtav parantapa. This is what happens, As time progresses, there are people, they have forgotten their eternal relationship with Krishna. What is the purpose behind this caste system? So, otherwise you see, if everything is equal, let's say all of us will let us become sweepers, okay? We all will sweep the street. You may get only 1 inch to sweep. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So, I'm just giving a point that it is not practical. But everybody is identified as eternal servant of Krishna. That is our eternal identity. But then this system, and it is also, we can see certain people have certain propensities. So one has to be molded on that, one has to be trained on that. But keeping in center the Krishna consciousness. But in Kali Yuga, as it is the age now, it is very much downtrodden. So it doesn't matter whatever may be one's background, whatever may be one's occupation, whatever may be one's talent. We engage everyone in devotional service. Doesn't matter whatever it is. So the process, because the purpose of this Varnashrama system was also for purification. This is the key point. They forget this. They think that everybody is just, he's being exploited. No, actually, it is not a question of exploitation. Actually, during when it is being handled by a proper king, a proper leader, so nicely the society can be molded. So according to, and everyone can come together and then they worship Krishna. They worship the Supreme Lord. But then everybody has got certain talent and it is being appreciated. And one engages in the service of the Lord. We are not in the bodily concept, seeing he's a low class fellow. No, he has got certain psychophysical nature and he has to be engaged. So that is the whole point. And that's why the Bhagavatam also explains that keeping Krishna in the center. Bhagavatam explains, Ata pumbir dvijas shreshta varnashrama vibhagashaha. Swanustita asti dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. This is the whole key point. Haritoshanam. For the pleasure of the Lord, one has to, he engages in various occupational activities, but keeping in, not to forget that the whole goal is centered towards pleasing the Supreme Lord. And also another verse which explains, Varnashrama acharavata. Varnashrama acharavata means one follows the discipline of Varna and Ashramas. For what? Pumsena Paraf Puman. The living entity following for a higher purpose. What is that? Vishnur Aradhyate Panta. That is for the worshipping, pleasing the Supreme Lord. Nanyat Tattosha Karanam. In that way, when he tries to please the Lord, he will also be satisfied. So this is an important point. So whole point is that the bottom line, it comes down to pleasing Krishna. That has to be the center. And so we have to preach, we have to help. So that's why what we are trying to do, we are trying to have Prabhupada said that we need to have communities, devotee communities. We need to show to the entire world an alternative system. That it's a possible community by which we do not have to be part of the demoniac society. We don't have to be part of the slaughterhouses. We don't have to be part of these factories, all these modern ideas, and then all these demoniac tendencies. So we have our own society of devotees. We grow in our own land. We take care of the cows. We produce our own cloth. So we can be self-sufficient communities, centered, keeping Krishna in the center. We can mold our life. And we have an alternative to show to the society. The people more and more with the modern society try to enjoy with the senses and mind and try to lord over the material nature. More and more they try this, more and more they will be frustrated. So people will look for alternatives. But as a Krishna conscious society, when we show there are alternative systems, a happy way children can study, children can be grown, and they can have a very nice culture, they can be showing exemplary qualities and character. Women can be nicely protected, they can be nurtured as mother, and they can protect the children. And then life need not be working 24 hours a day. You just do some 8 hours of work, 6 hours of work, and then not that we are lazy people, but we will work hard. We will be active 24 hours a day in trying to please the Lord. That is our goal. So that should be our attitude, and in that way we can show to the world that Krishna consciousness is a practical solution. We have a total package for the entire world, wherein it can turn the lives of the people from suffering to happiness. That could happen. So that's why Prabhupada says that there are different rules and regulations for different castes or divisions of society, and if a person is able to follow them, he will be automatically raised to the highest platform of spiritual realization. So that's what the whole point, that Sattvam Sanjayate Jnanam. The more one follows all these principles, regulations given in the scriptures, the more he becomes purified. The more one becomes purified, the more one becomes determined to practice Krishna consciousness. And direct process of Krishna consciousness itself, it does that. So that's why we take vow at the time of initiation. No meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. I will chant minimum 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Then we'll engage in Krishna's service. So why do we commit this? Because by the don'ts, we avoid committing sinful activities. And then by the do's, we develop love for Krishna. Other detrimental things are avoided. Okay. So here Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is explaining how to again practically make progress. One cannot give up the 3 gates to hell without practice of one's own dharma or ashrama. And practicing one's own dharma cannot be properly fulfilled without following scripture. Therefore, the intelligent person should act according to scripture. So now in these next 2 verses, the Lord is pointing out how one can be benefited by following the scriptures. So it's not that we blindly follow the scriptures. Yes, we accept the scriptures. Why? Because it is direct words of the Lord, and it is the guiding force for us to make progress in the material world, from hellish life to transcendental, to raise ourselves to the transcendental platform. And also we can see that by following the scriptures, one becomes happy, and also one can attain the highest destination. The highest destination is to engage in the eternal service of the Lord, birth after birth. Okay, text 23. Ya shastra vidim utstrijya vartate kamakaratah na sasiddhim avapnoti na sukam na param ghatim. He who discards scriptural injunction and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. So Krishna says, yeah, Shastra Vidim Utsrijya. Utsrijya means giving up. If you give up Shastra Vidhi means the rules of the scriptures. If you just give up, why a person gives up the rules of the scriptures? Kama karataha, simply out of desire to satisfy his whimsical, simply out of whimsical desires, he tries to satisfy them. Same thing the Bhagavatam also says, right? Nunang pramatta kurute yadindriya preetaya apranoti. Indriya preeti means what? Kama karataha. That's what it is. Nasa siddhim. He neither attains perfection, na sukham, nor happiness, or paramagati. Doesn't attain the supreme destination as well. For one who does not follow the scriptures. So now Prabhupada points out here that, in other words, a man may theoretically know all these things, but if he does not apply them in his own life, then he is said to be known as the lowest of mankind. In the human form of life, a living entity is expected to be sane and to follow the regulations given for elevating his life to the highest platform. But if he does not follow them, then he degrades himself. So, we should not be like an armchair speculator, simply sitting and reading this, reading that, opinion of this, opinion of that, and then what do you do at the end of the day? Nothing. I know it is said here in this book it is like this, in this book it is like that, but he himself will not follow anything. So Prabhupada says that apply the knowledge in one's life. There is theory and then there is practice. So then, by applying the theory and putting it in practice, one gets realization. That's how one gets realization. Of course, the realization is not that now I know what it is, now I have practiced, now I am realized. But it happens by the purification of heart, and that is by the mercy of the Lord. That happens, yes. Ultimately, it's the mercy of the Lord, but there is a process by which one can invoke the mercy of the Lord. But also, the mercy is costless. That's another whole discussion. Okay, let's... Now Prabhupada says, now he says that in this purport, and even if he accepts the existence of God, if he does not engage himself in the service of the Lord, his attempts are spoiled. This is another point, no? We discussed. One may accept, God is there, but then what are you doing about it? So, bhajati, the word means that devotional service, Prabhupada, he said, not just some devotional sentiments. It's all, there are some people you can say, when they maybe hear some harikatha or something they hear, immediate tears flows from their eyes. Oh, so nice, Krishna, amazing. It's all the Lord, so wonderful. And they say, that Leela, when you hear, and then what they do, they watch the program, and then they go and then they watch so many different serials. And then there also they cry. They watch some serial, Chitti, Bhuti, Party, Amma, Papa, Tata. I don't know what are the latest series. When I was, I have to honestly accept, there was some serial called Chitti, which was it's a soap. This soap, this name also we came to know from we all want to follow the West. In the US they have these long serials, the bold and the beautiful, and anyway, it's useless talk. The point is that you get carried away by watching all this nonsense, and then on the other hand, you are so devotional. So it's all cheating. So Prabhupada says that do something about it. You are hearing, try to follow, try to apply this in your life. Is the whole point. The word kamakartaha is very significant. A person who knowingly violates the rules acts in lust. He knows that this is forbidden, but still he acts. This is called acting whimsically. He knows that this should be done, but still he does not do it. Therefore, he is called whimsical. This is the whole thing, That's why association, see, we may read, we may hear everything. But when the temptation comes, it just pulls us. I remember when we were just beginning days, coming to ISKCON. Sunday afternoons we go and then do service in the temple. One Sunday, there are we have some 40, 45 boys, we come and then we sweep the temple. We, some of them cut the vegetables, everybody has got different set of services. And one Sunday there were only 3-4 of us were there. And there hardly any, many were missing. So the devotee who was taking care of the youth program, he came, what is happening? What is going on today? Then another devotee revealed the secret. Prabhuji, today is India versus Pakistan match. That's the thing, They are, they are hearing, coming, lectures and all those things. But then, temptation, Already, some of them who are here are already eager. So what is the score? What is happening? We are all completely new people, But this is the whole thing, no? But when you are in with association of devotees, maybe there may be temptations because we have not developed higher taste. But then you engage in Krishna's service, you absorb yourself, you chant, you be in kirtan, then you forget it. Then as time progresses, then more and more you get absorbed. You are not interested in reading this, reading news about what is happening with the latest match or the latest film. You lose it. Otherwise, you see here, if you don't, you are not with sat, you are not having sat sangha. You are not in proper association immediately. When you are in association of devotees, then everything is super. Krishna consciousness, topmost thing, will do a great revolution. And then when you go home, you switch on the TV, you are completely finished. So Prabhupada says that we should not act according to our whims. That is why the mind has to be trained. We have to have strict rules and regulations to fix our mind. So Prabhupada concludes the purport. The human life is especially meant for purifying one's existence. And one who does not follow the rules and regulations cannot purify himself. Nor can he attain the real stage of happiness. Now this is the point, The whole life is meant for purification of our existence. Now that is why we can forget this important message. It's such a simple point, we may say, but we may forget this point and we can get into troubles. So that's why we have to be always achar, vichar and prachar. Follow the instructions and then always contemplate, then become more enthusiastic to apply the teachings. Then also keep speaking about it. Preach, help others. Then when you preach, what happens? Hey, don't watch movies. Don't play with your games in smartphone. Then you also have a smartphone. You say you're apparently using for preaching. Then you should also not do. And then you are completely a cheater actually. That's all. Then you see preaching is always it will always help us. That always reminds us, I have to really set proper example. I'm representing Guru Parampara. I'm following Srila Prabhupada. So we have to be always setting very good standards. So okay, this is the point. Now let's go to the next verse. Wherein Krishna now in this verse practically is giving another instructions. How by adhering to the scriptures we should mold our life. That we should keep that as our worldview and apply it in our life. Krishna says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Vyavastitau Jnatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Iharhasi. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. Now in this verse he says, previous verse he said that if you don't, then you will neither attain proper destination nor you will be happy. And in this verse what Krishna says, if you follow according to the Shastra Vidhana, then you will elevate yourself. Now the previous verse, I just forgot to mention, it's an important verse for memorization. This verse also important verse for memorization, but specifically 23, please memorize that verse. Because you see our worldview, our opinion is based on Krishna's opinion. So Shastra Vidhi Mustujya. So that's why we always see whatever that we speak, is it in line with the scriptures? Otherwise we don't say. If we say we don't know, I do not know. We have to see. Maybe some things may require research, whatever. But we just speak according to the scriptures. So always we follow Krishna's instructions. Guru Sadhu Shastra Vakya Chittete Korya Aikya. This is our philosophy. Okay. One should therefore understand what is duty. So Krishna says, Tasma Chastrang Pramanam Te. So what is the Pramanam? What is the evidence that we show? The scriptures say like this. Not that my view, not that his view. Not someone. This is what scriptures say. This is what the bona fide devotees have. This is how they practice. So we accept that statement. Then, whether to be done or not to be done. Karya, akarya. Whether it is a proper activity or it's an improper activity. We decide based on scriptures. Karya vidhanoktam karma kartum iharhasi. Karma kartum means one engages in activities based on the conclusions of scriptures. So, there is one, we discussed so many points. I just came to my mind one point we didn't discuss. Regarding certain practices. Yesterday we discussed also about, this, how the demons promote illicit sex and then contraception and all those things. But there is also another abominable activity which happens right royally in the society. What about abortions? People, they say that we have the choice. We can choose. They have the choice. What is the choice? You already for whatever reason, it is by legal means or illegal means, somehow or other, now you have become already you are impregnated, and the child will be born. And what do they call? They just call it, it's just a removal of tissues. They give so many different names, They say that temporary, what is that? Pregnancy termination, they give one term. But then many of the doctors and others, they say that there's a removal of tissue, it's okay. It's like there is some wound and you remove some tissue. But it's not just some removal of tissue, The soul is going to enter. The soul has already entered the body and it's like killing. Sometimes they say that there's a miscarriage, There is a miscarriage that happens. That's a different story. But you voluntarily, for whatever reason, you have decided not to have the child and you kill the child. And a husband, the husband or the male, he may even take a decision. But as a mother, how do you have this? Is a very demoniac tendency. How do you allow this? A child is to be born, but we are going to face severe consequences for this act. So it has to be. We may be wondering, what is this, Prabhu? It's too much of a discussion. But I'm telling you, in reality, this is happening in this world. A couple of years back, one of my relatives had to pulled up whatever quotes I could from Prabhupada's books regarding abortion. One of my relatives, they got married. They were quite young. Young means in the modern days, it's not. They were not so old. The boy was 23 and the girl was 21. They got married. So, and as a natural consequence, they were about to beget a child. And then the boy is saying that it's too much. I don't want to have a child. I want to kill the child. Not so grossly speaking, but we don't want to have the child. What is this nonsense? You are responsible. You got married, and you have a child, and then you go take responsibility. You must have the child. Grow them. So much preaching back and forth. As some good relatives were there, I had to. I also just saw so many quotes. What are the post consequences of this, health-wise, life-wise, and then the karmic effects, and how we become sinful. And after so much preaching of so many people, then finally they went. The situation was saved. But this is the point, If we don't educate people right from young age on these Vedic views or the proper views, then we will be carried away by the propaganda of the so-called doctors, the so-called leaders. Remember some years back, even there are many leaders like that who are pro-abortionists. They say it's okay, you can engage in abortion. Who cares for your opinion? What is the opinion of the scriptures? Scriptures don't allow this. It says it's very highly sinful. So education is so much required. So much we have to distribute Prabhupada's books. The Prabhupada doesn't, he just, shrug off these things. He doesn't avoid it. He openly speaks about all these things. Because unless we speak, then who else is going to speak? Unless we tell this to the people will be in illusion. So that's why it's so important. Tasmat shastram pramanante karya. What is to be done, what is not to be done, base your life on scriptures. And scriptures also not, I'll directly read some books, That's why we have Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. We have a spiritual master. He guides us what to do, how to do, what not to do. Everything he gives guidance. So spiritual life is a serious business. Okay. Now let's see in the purport. Prabhupada begins the point. If one understands Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita and becomes situated in Krishna consciousness, engaging himself in devotional service, he has reached the highest perfection of knowledge offered by the Vedic literature. So this is the summum bonum of following all the rules and regulations. Prabhupada begins. All the rules and regulations of the Vedas are meant for knowing Krishna. This is the point. We have discussed this point before also. All the rules and regulations, the entire lore of Vedas, everything is meant for one single point, to understand one single point. What is that one single point? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are His eternal servants. We are meant to please Him. What Padma Purana says, Vismartavyam na jatu chit. Smriti, Smartavyam. My smriti is gone. Smartavyam satatam Vishnu. Vismartavyam na jatu chit. Then, how does it go? Sarve vidhi nishedayascha. Nishedasyor etayor eva kinkaraha. Sarve vidhi. All the rules and regulations are meant for what? To understand. All the rules and regulations are meant to, it's all subservient to this principle. What principle? Always remember Krishna. If you want to follow all the rules and regulations, by remembering Krishna, we always follow the rules and regulations. And then what is the next? Another instruction that we get, that we may mess up something, we may never forget Krishna. So you will follow all the rules and regulations. So all the rules and regulations are meant to keep Krishna in the center. If we keep Krishna in the center, then our life is perfect. Always we should think, are we acting properly? Is it what the scriptures say? So for us to always be Krishna conscious, we should always chant the holy names of Krishna. We should engage in His service. We should read the scriptures. We should serve the devotees. We should always be in the fire of Krishna consciousness. So we will always be protected. Otherwise, we will have difficulty. Okay, there is another point to be dealt here. We will discuss that. Before that, actually, it's an important point. If the mind is not controlled, if we are going to have different desires, if we are always hovering on the mental platform, our life will become difficult. That is why these instructions, as Prabhupada points out that here, that the life is meant to know Krishna. All the injunctions are given to know Krishna. Yad anudyasina yukta, karma grantim nibandhanam. The Bhagavatam says, anudyasina, every anukkana, also in one of the songs Bhakti-śāstra Thakur says, every second we have to be Krishna conscious. We have to engage in the service of the Lord by chanting His holy names, by hearing the Harikatha, by honoring prasadam, by preaching. Then what happens? Chindanti kovidastasya. Then the hard knot of ignorance, which is accumulated in the heart, it will be cut into pieces. The Bhagavatam explains. So, Kona Kuriyat Katharatim. So, who will not give audience to this Harikatha? The Bhagavatam explains. So, it's so important for us to follow this. If you just leave the mind according to its desire, already Krishna has given so many instructions in the Gita, right? And Srila Bhakti-śāstra Thakur also, he points out, gives very profound instructions. If you simply have material desire, if you just leave life with, growing material desires, it will only create disaster. Now, Bhakti-śāstra Thakur points out a very nice incident. He says about a person who was interested. He saw one Guruji in a village who was very exceptional. He was well studied in Bhagavad Gita and was very exceptional in character. People come and then fall at his feet and then they worship him. So he thought that I also want to become like him. So he came and then approached that Guru and then he said that I also want to become like you. Now you see the catch here. The point is that his desire was to become like that Guru. His desire was not exactly like I want to become purified. I want to become Krishna conscious. That was not at all his desire. His desire is he want to become famous. The bottom line. So he came and then approached and then he asked the Guru that please help me so that I can also become like you. So this Guruji said that, you see, I do not know anything. All I know is Bhagavad Gita. I always read Bhagavad Gita. Throughout the day I am reading Bhagavad Gita. And whenever people come and then ask me something, I answer from the Bhagavad Gita. This is what I do. And whole day I am reading Bhagavad Gita. So you can also read, every day you can read Bhagavad Gita. And then you can read your life like that. All perfection will come from this. So then this disciple, he said, okay, yes Guruji, I will follow your instructions. So he went to a place where that he will absorb himself in studying Bhagavad Gita. So he went on top of some kind of a hill. So he started. He thought that, okay, let me absorb completely studying Gita, and maybe once a day we will go for some bhiksha, and then we will sustain our life, but we will absorb ourselves in Bhagavad Gita. So he started his life like that. He was reading Bhagavad Gita one day, and then that day night while he was sleeping, then there was a mouse which was disturbing like anything. His everything was torn, it was biting everything. So he thought that now how to handle this. So then he decided to let me go and then meet the people and then ask if we have a cat that could solve the problem. So every time, he goes Bhavati Bhikshandehi, every day he asks for grains, and today he was asking for a cat. So people, if you can help me with a cat, I have a problem with the mouse. So he got a cat, and then as the cat came, the problem was solved. The cat, it took care of the mouse, but then cat started making noise because cat is hungry. It needs something to eat. So then he thought that, my goodness, what to do? It's always, whenever I'm reading, it is making this strange sound. So let me now go back and then ask for some cow so that I could get some. It could be milked, and then that will solve the problem. And then now the problem is not over. Now to take care of the cow, he was asking for some small boy who will take care of the cow. Now he went to the village and he said, give me some boy who will take care of the cow. And also he collected, even before he went to the people and then he asked for some wood. he wanted to construct some small shed for this cow. So he was every day going and coming and asking. And then when he asked for this boy, at one point of them, people got fried. They said that, come on, give a break. You came, you call yourself sadhu. Why don't you be like a honest man like us? Get married and then lead life like us. I said, okay, maybe it's a good idea. So he got married and then he was trying to read Bhagavad Gita. Then one day, after some couple of years, Guru came. Hey, what are you doing? Guruji, I'm reading Bhagavad Gita. What Bhagavad Gita? That's all. He just got lost. So the bottom line point here is, we have a material desire, and if we don't purify our material desire, we are in deep soup. So here Prabhupada, that's why he's pointing out, the rules and regulations are meant to keeping Krishna in the center. So this is the point. This fellow was, his desire, so-called spiritual practice was also for what? Name and fame. Will not help. But if we really want to get purified, our desire should be, I want to get purified. So all our practice should be for Kayena Manasa Buddhya Kevalair Indriya Rapi. Yogina karma kurvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. Krishna advises that the yogi should endeavor for the purpose of purification of the heart. This is the whole point. So when we endeavor like that, then definitely by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, we can make progress. Now you see Prabhupada's rest of the purport, he makes amazing point. He says that this is a very difficult age, very downtrodden age, but people can be saved. So the Supreme Lord, he came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the merciful incarnation. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this process very easy. He asked people simply to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this can be easily achieved by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Then Prabhupada says, and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord and eat the remnants of foodstuff offered to the deity. Simple process. One who is directly engaged in all these devotional activities is to be understood as having studied all Vedic literature. He has come to the conclusion perfectly. Yomam evam asammudo jhanati purushottamam sasarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. So that we already saw. So simply by engaging in devotional service, one can attain all perfection. Now Prabhupada goes on to explain that why we are hearing from the scriptures. It is systematically is presenting. Why not from someone else we will hear? We will hear from this so-called guru, that guru, this guru. But are they speaking from the scriptures? Why from the scriptures? Because the scriptures are beyond the four defects. You please read the purport. Prabhupada points out that because the scriptures are flawless, apurushaya, we are hearing from the scriptures. Now then he says that, now in the scriptures also is a very vast, it is very oceanic. Now who is that person who can understand the essence of the scriptures? What the scriptures are actually trying to say. Otherwise what will happen? You may read the scriptures, you may read some portion of the scriptures. Yo imam pushpitam vacham pravadant avipashchitaha. You may be carried away by the flowery language of the Vedas. What are you? He is a very strict, he follows all the Vedas. He does all the pujas and everything for, again, accumulating material desires. So Prabhupada says, one who is fortunate enough, he will understand the purport of the scriptures. Now then he gives here in the sutra, he gives the reasons why the people fall down. The people fall down. The greatest reason for which the people fall down is that the greatest offense of human life is not understanding the position of the Supreme Lord. You see, this is the reason for the fall down. Prabhupada gives very clearly points out here. Therefore, the Maya, the material energy of the Supreme Personality of God, is always giving us trouble in the shape of the threefold miseries. Adhyatmika klesha, adhibhautika klesha, adhidhaivika klesha. What Krishna says in the 9th chapter regarding this, already Krishna spoke about this. You remember this? In human society, aversion to the principles of understanding the Supreme Personality of God is the cause of fall downs. He calls them, almost he calls them mudas. The asuras, what they do? They deny what? Avajananti mam muda, manushim tanumashritah. This is what they are mudas. Why? They don't accept Krishna as a person. They don't understand he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's the reason. So now Prabhupada again gives a solution. The solution is that how one can elevate oneself, come to the Sattvam Sanjayate Jnanam. By following all the rules and regulations ordained in the scriptures, then you come to the level of Sattva. And how it happens, you follow the orders of the spiritual master. He engages us in the following the rules and regulations. Wake up early in the morning, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, engage in service, don't waste time. So everything, all the good advice are given. Then we are always eager hearing about the glories of the Lord. Actually, The power of devotional service is like this, we have rules and regulations. In fact, you can see when the Hare Krishna movement, at the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement, Prabhupada, he spoke every day, but there is so much of chanting of the Hare Krishna. Prabhupada spoke the philosophy. As people were engaging in Krishna's service, they were chanting Krishna's name. The potency of the holy name, the potency of the bhakti, it purifies one's heart. So naturally they were giving up all the bad things. This is the power. That we have discussed enough about those things, but it is always very good to repeat it, hear it, speak it. In that way, we will always be constantly reminded about the power of pure devotional service. So Prabhupada says that, so by engaging in devotional service, one can be free from the defects. Then he says, if however one is able to be guided. So now you see, the already key factor we have discussed before also. Prabhupada in the conclusion of several purposes also he points out this. If however one is able to be guided by a proper and bona fide spiritual master who can lead one to the path of elevation to the higher stage, then one's life becomes successful. So what is the final point? We don't do anything independently, but we follow we have full faith in the words of Guru and Krishna. Then the imports of the scriptures are revealed. What is the verse sloka? Anybody remembers? You have the faith that you have on the scriptures and the faith that you have on the the faith that you have on the scriptures and the faith that you have on the Guru. Equal faith you have on both. Then for such a person, the conclusion of the scriptures will be revealed. Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata kurau tasyarte katita yartah prakashante mahatmana. Unto such great personalities, the import of the Vedas will be revealed. This is a very key verse. Our whole spiritual life, whatever we study, everything, ultimately, when the Guru is pleased, when Krishna is pleased, we will be blessed with realizations. We will be blessed and we will be saved from the conditioning of the material world. Okay. Anything else to discuss on this purport? Yes, so we will stop here. Do you have any questions or comments? Any questions, comments, any doubts? Any other realizations? I just remember one point. If someone asks some questions, I'll answer that. But at the end, I would like to. I just remember another one incident. Yes. Okay. Okay, the question is that in our Krishna conscious service, sometimes we have to become angry to get the things done. So is it proper or is it not proper? Yeah, it is required, and it is not at all. For example, that's what Krishna did to Arjuna. Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita so that Arjuna will become angry. That was his service. So that is bona fide. One has to become angry just for not his satisfying his own senses, but to see that the service is done properly. Otherwise, he's very peaceful. So that's the whole point. Yeah, another point that I was thinking was how the demons are very, they don't want to hear about Krishna and about the rules and regulations of scriptures. Remember when we used to have previously programs in the Star Plus and others, we used to have these Atma serials and like that. His Holiness Bhakti Swami was pointing out that when they were having programs, they were having restrictions because the devotees were speaking, that you should not watch TV, you should not, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication. The organizers or the directors of the program, they were, why you people are always speaking like this? They were not happy. Why they are not happy? Because first of all, they are the ones who are promoting it so much, and they are getting so much income from that. So many advertisements they are getting. And if you are going to outright preach like this, then what will happen? Their income will be reduced. So they were not happy with our programs. So it should be like this, better we speak the truth, we tell the truth, so that people will come to know what's the reality. Otherwise, simply we tell some stories and then, something vague things we speak. And then what happens? Nothing is clear. We are also another institution, where they speak about how to come out of stress and then, or, speaking about now how to really become slim, or you go to some, if you use this gem, what kind of benefit you will get. There are some attractive programs. Always when we have the CTN program, so the CTN or weekly program we have here in Salem, on Fridays we have this program. Sometimes we have a program before our program. There is a gemologist. He comes and then speaks about various gems and this and that. So then after our class, sometimes we get questions. Swamiji, I have a question. What about if you use this gem? We have in the class we spoke so many things because it has an impact from the previous class. If I use this ruby, what will be the effect? What will be that effect? So this is what people are interested in. People want to hear, but they are not interested in hearing about what is really beneficial for our life. But that's our job. That's our duty. We should spell it out. We should tell, and then we can see in Prabhupada's books, it is very clear. This is the way the demoniac society can be changed. So that is why our preaching should be clear, and we should present the fact, and we should give reasons why we are saying this. We say someone is a rascal, someone is a demon. Why? Why? Because of these things. That's the whole point. Okay. Thank you very much. We will begin with the 17th chapter. Please read at least the first 15 verses for tomorrow. And we may have some 10-15 minutes extra sessions. And we will see how it goes. We may try to complete the class on Friday so that you have 2 days to prepare for your exam on Sunday. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Hare Krishna.